When I die, bury me deep. Lay two speakers at my feet. Put some headphones on my head and rock and roll me when I'm dead. These are the words you will read when you watch Panos Cosmatos' 2018 love letter to all things awesome and heavy metal. A Dungeons and Dragons fever dream meets mythological romance as the director takes us on the ride of a lifetime in the film Mandy.
Welcome to Bedlam Movie Night, the podcast where we dissect, deconstruct, and exhume films from the depths of horror, action, sci-fi, and beyond. I'm Ben Marlowe, joined by John Anderson,
Hello, hello.
and tonight we're riding shotgun with the Reaper through a haze of grief, chainsaws, and cosmic rage.
Hell yeah.
Caution, spoilers may vary ahead, any movie, anytime, so let's frickin' rock and roll.
Yeah, any movie that you've never heard of, wanted to see but never saw the movie in question, we are going to spoil all of it.
Well, I'm ready to rock this whole freaking joint. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this movie because I feel like this movie was kind of made for you.
100%. I just want to give a heads up that I'm going to say the words, dude, that's so metal, so many times during the course of this episode, so just strap in and get ready.
I'm ready.
Also, just wanted to give everybody a heads up. We break our episodes up into three sections. The first, which you are currently listening to, is sort of a broad discussion about how the movie came to be and the various people involved in it. The second section, we like to call the dungeon, where we focus on specific scenes and parts of the film and talk about similarities that a scene might have had with other works of art, a connection to the world of music, literature, history, and so on. And finally, we wrap things up here on Bedlam Movie Nights with Grave Matters, our third section, where we have a few fun categories that we like to go over. So, just to let everybody know what they're in store for.
Yes.
Also, you will hear us mention something called Black Belt Nerd Moments from time to time, which are anything from an obscure fact about the film or some tie that might have been unintended or not by the director with some other movie. It's a deep cut that only the realest of real fans might get.
Yeah, I am not as sold on this movie as your average bear with horror movies.
I'm
So
kind of what I'm coming to realize is you might not like movies, Ben. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much an 11-year-old curmudgeon, which is a whole weird way to walk life. But but yeah, I am excited for you to like kind of save this movie for me because I think a lot of the like folklore and thought put into a movie like this is something that I had to like trudge through. So
Totally. Yeah. Well, watching this movie reminded me of like getting my hands on my first metal cassette tape when I was a kid. It was Metallica's and Justice for All, and I wore that tape out, man. And I don't even know how it came into my hands, and if my family or my dad knew that I had it, would probably have not have been thrilled about it. But I listened the shit out of that album. Also, some of the stuff from like that band Green Jelly came to mind, like just wild, over the top, in your face metal and like really graphic art in the albums as
right.
well. Fun fact, Green Jelly is actually where Maynard James Keenan and Danny Carey of the band Tool got their start as musicians. One of the first bands they were in.
Yeah, I can tell this movie is rich with that type of stuff, and yeah, lot of it. My first album was DMX's, and then there was X, so that
A
would
little
be hard
different.
to make a. Let's see that version of this type of movie.
Yeah, that would
Where's
be a
that
good
at?
movie. Like,
Hell
why
yeah.
not take an inspiration from that and make a similar, like,
Oh, that'd be badass.
mythological love story?
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, we'll go there one day. But I was a happier than pig of shit when it was Jet Li DMX days.
Yeah,
But yeah.
DMX was sort of a mythological character in his own right.
Right,
Though.
he could do
He
that.
could
Yeah.
carry it.
Yeah, there we go. But this movie just kind of reeks of what I think a lot of like good movies fall victim of, and it like I would almost put it in this category like of like film bro catnip. You know what I mean? Where it's just like
Yeah.
too good and people like really really crowd around it. And I was kind of thinking about it, and you ever see what is it, Shape of Water?
Oh yeah, love that movie.
So yeah, so this is like a good example, and but I hated that movie
But
because
you like,
Pan's Labyrinth, yeah,
you like his movies. What's his name? Guillermo
Guillermo
del
del Toro,
Toro. Yeah.
yeah, and so Pan's Labyrinth is one of the most magical things ever created. And so what happened with Shape of Water, it was just like a dumbed down, more generic, easier to digest version of Pan's Labyrinth.
Huh.
And I think that's kind of like what the category I would say is like, yeah, film bro catnip is
Right.
when something that like has like a lot of content ends up kind of like being more generic because there's such like easy access points to it, be it, for Shape of Water, like, oh, this is
So
about a monster and this is fun. It's like there's a
right.
bunch. He goes deep in the past, but I'm not saying this movie necessarily does that. And I'm excited for you to convince me because watching it again with this like really intent, like trying to see what they had to say, I was like, I bet John will like help convince me to like this movie.
Well, yes, I could totally help with that. This movie got its hooks into me right out of the gate. Before we jump into that, though, I just want to give a shout out to Panos Cosmatos' father, George Cosmatos, who was kind of a legend with like B horror movies. He directed several different films, but one of his was a film called Leviathan, which was in the late 80s, and it was basically an Alien ripoff starring Peter Weller, who played the original RoboCop. It's just like right off the heels of James Cameron's The Abyss. So they're trying to do like mixing, the
I think
Ridley
I've
Scott
seen
thing
that
and the
movie.
James Cameron thing together. It also starred Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters and Daniel Stern, who like the very next year went to be one of the Wet Bandits in Home Alone 2, or
Oh,
Home Alone 1 and 2. Yeah.
oh, I think they've remade it since then. Because
Leviathan?
yeah, it's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, well, they kind of did with a movie called Underwater with
Right.
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
That one is I really like that movie. It's great. They do more of a H.P. Lovecraft thing where they blend in the Call of Cthulhu monsters with the deep sea diver thing.
Speaking of H.P. Lovecraft, what is that cover that Nicolas Cage eventually did? That's the exact same cover of Mandy. It like recently came out. That's an H.P. Lovecraft remake.
Oh, we're gonna get into that movie. That's Color Out of Space. I
Yeah.
have I have some notes about that as well.
I'm very frustrated with how similar those look, though.
Oh, I know what you mean. Right, the cover art. Yeah.
I'll be
Well,
open to your takes, but I will be critiquing this movie a little
I'm
bit.
ready. But like I said, I mean, it's okay. Like, I just wish you liked movies more, Ben. That's all. This would make this podcast so much easier.
It's true. It's true.
Well, I initially wondered why Panos Cosmatos made Mandy. He talks about it in interviews being a movie that he had been working on his whole life. Like he remembers early on as a kid going to the video store and getting infatuated with the artwork on the cover of the horror films and like reading the captions. And although he wasn't allowed to watch these movies, his imagination was allowed to run wild with like, what are the possibilities in this world based on the art and what
Right.
like what I'm seeing, what I'm reading. So all of that sort of became a seed in his mind of like he wanted to take the what grabbed him about this little slice of horror, this little slice of metal, this little slice of pop culture and prog rock and artwork and fantasy art and
Make
literature
a
and just like
badass
make
thing.
this collage of shit that really had affected him his whole life and drove him to make art in the first
He
place.
certainly did a good job of that. Yeah.
He really did. He'd made this like incredible collage that I thought I would never see. There's a movie like in the early '80s that grabbed me the same way. Actually called Heavy Metal. It's an
Oh yeah.
anthology animated comic movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I know. Yeah. Robert Balsner.
yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
great stuff.
Yeah. He did the Yellow Submarine and everything like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that shit. That's speaking of. I was thinking of that when you're telling the story of him like being around the video store and seeing the cover.
yeah.
Heavy Metal is one of those things where I was like, what the fuck is going on in here? And couldn't get access to it for many, many years. But
Yeah,
holy shit. But yeah, and then did you ever see Beavis and Butthead Do America?
of course.
The like the masculine acid trip scene.
Oh yeah, when
Where,
is that the one when they're crawling through the desert?
yeah, and they like take a bite of a cactus and trip out, and then it's like Rob Zombie is the song I think that
That's
plays
right.
here. So I think this is all you can tell all of his influences are kind of like at full
They're
thing
at
here.
full throttle. So circling back to the H.P. Lovecraft thing that you just mentioned, yeah, that was an adaptation of one of his books called The Color Out of Space. It's a rare H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, but was directed by Richard Stanley, whose career has been mired with success and failure. He had success early on with a film called Hardware. It was an indie sci-fi horror thing where like a cyborg sort of terrorized a woman in her apartment, and he got blown up by that. And he made another one,
Huh.
I think it's called Dust Devil after that, which is pretty good. But then for his third film, he kind of did too much too soon, and he got hired to direct The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Ah, see, that makes
Right?
perfect
There's a
sense.
whole
Yeah.
documentary about that saga, and I think he lasted like 3 weeks on the set, and it was just too much, and he couldn't handle how big of a production it was, and he sort
Yeah.
of had a breakdown, got replaced by John Frankenheimer, I believe, but then was rumored to have never left the island or the part of the country. I think they were filming in Southeast Asia, maybe, but he was rumored to have never left the island they were filming on,
Hmm.
and instead eventually snuck back onto the set and is one of the extras. Supposedly, he's like in a
Yeah,
full
one of those
monster
ridiculous,
costume.
crazy outfits. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, I like that. That
yeah,
makes sense. I like to believe. Sure, why not?
Nick Cage was in this and that. So it's a weird sci-fi
Was he in
tie-in.
Island of Dr. Moreau? I mean, all I
He
remember is
wasn't. It was Val
obviously.
Kilmer. It was Val Kilmer and of course Marlon Brando.
Yeah, it's Marlon Brando losing his fucking mind in that. Yeah, Jesus
He
Christ.
demanded Marlon Brando for that film demanded that his monkey, his pet monkey, be given a separate salary to
Right.
like
It was
travel
like when he
with.
just went off. It was like, yeah. And I remember seeing that very young and even recognizing that everything was all wrong.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Also, I want to touch on Angela Riseborough, who plays Mandy in the film. She's a sci-fi horror alumni. She was in Oblivion with Tom
Mm-hmm.
Cruise, and she also was in Brendan Cronenberg's Possessor, which
Yeah,
are
it's like, didn't she do?
great movie as well.
I had to look her up to make sure she wasn't in The Fourth Kind. You ever see that one?
I did not.
I thought she was the lady who plays kind of the lady who gets abducted by aliens for a minute, but she is not.
No. Okay, so number 3 on my list of notable actors, Linus Roach, who plays the cult leader Jeremiah, who by far might be one of the best slash worst villains on screen. Like he's
Yeah, well, his whole
really
thing
good,
is just despicable thoroughly. Yeah.
thoroughly. He's really good at it. But did you put together that he plays Bruce Wayne's father from Batman Begins?
Yeah, so the way I arrived at that was when he's doing his like naked monologue.
Right,
There's
which
a
is the best time
yeah,
to
there's
realize.
a
Oh, wait a minute, it's that guy.
yeah, well there's a part where he goes, "Look at me. Look at me." And that's like right out of The Dark Knight, and I was like, this guy is trying to be Heath Ledger and he's doing his best Scarecrow meets Heath Ledger. And I was like, this guy's trying so hard to be the villains from Batman. And then when I looked him up, I was like, well, fucking A.
He was in Batman. He
Also, the guy who plays the chemist is in Batman as well, but that guy's
Yep.
in every fucking
Joe
thing.
Chill. He plays the guy who kills Bruce Wayne. His parent. He kills the dad.
Oh, right, he's supposed to be.
That was
You know
going
what
to
I mean?
be the black belt nerd moment. Is that the LSD chemist in Mandy shoots Linus Roach, who plays Bruce Wayne's father in Batman
Oh,
Begins.
good piecing it together.
There you go. That's the meta universe movie magic
I like
right
how he
there.
still found that out because I was like, this guy's trying to be out of Batman. He is out of Batman.
Yeah,
But he was just
he was
mad
killed in a Batman movie. Yeah.
he just wanted to be the bad guy so badly, and this was his chance, and he did a good job. But
Well-
definitely, was clear what he was there for, and they definitely didn't keep it subtle.
Along with him demanding that she look at him, which is a Dark Knight reference. Right after that, well, he has that moment where he gets angry and he yells to everybody, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me!"
Yeah.
Which is Frank Booth, Dennis Hopper's character in Blue Velvet. That's his whole thing: is "Don't you fucking look at me!"
Oh,
You know, so he's like taking a little bit of all the worst bad guys.
Well, to be honest, when I hear "Don't look at me," I think of which this movie definitely references Hellraiser.
Oh my god!
When
yeah.
she gives him the bodies, and he's like, "Don't look at me." So yeah,
Well,
there's a
see,
lot
this
here
movie
that
keeps
makes you
keeps
bring it
giving
up.
and giving. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about Johan Johansson. Rest in peace. He was the composer for this film, and right before its release, he died tragically. He was on track to be something special in the music in the world of film music.
That's
He had
good.
worked with Denis Villeneuve. He had scored Prisoners, Arrival, and Sicario for him. He was also working on Blade Runner 2, but was replaced by Hans Zimmer. During all of that, he was on track to score for a Disney film called Christopher Robin. It was the live action like Winnie the Pooh. I don't think it was like about Winnie the Pooh per se, but about the making of like how that story
Yeah.
became famous. But he was going to direct. He went from like Sicario, Blade Runner, Mandy to now he's going to do Disney movies, and he has such a unique and cool style that it
I
was a
guess
blow
Hans
for me.
Zimmer took him out of Sicario then too, huh?
No, Hans Zimmer didn't do Sicario. Johan Johansson did Sicario.
Really?
Um, I don't have much else as far as the backstory for this film.
All I gotta say is this movie was less than 2 hours long,
Yep.
and somehow it took the endurance of like my hardest art school muscle to get
100%.
through it. And it was really. And I've seen like different reactions. It's either people are like the beginning is what killed me, or people are like the end's what killed me as far as like the slowness or the pacing.
Yep.
And for me, it was the ending. The beginning, I'm like really was into. I like the
Interesting.
suspense in the world he built.
Totally.
You know.
I look at it kind of like the first hour
Mm-hmm.
is a great big inhale,
Mm-hmm.
and the last hour is an exhale.
Right. One of the things I thought I was going to describe it at, but I got like shy, was like instead of a love story that's been planted to grow, it's a love story that was buried, type of thing. But I
Yeah.
was like, why am I saying things like that on this podcast? So yeah, but there you go.
And that's what this movie does for you. Clearly, it took you somewhere.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Well, without further ado, I think we should get into the dungeon and talk about some scenes.
Let's do it.
So, the opening quote for this film, which I recited at the top of this episode, is from Douglas Roberts, who was a death row inmate in Texas. Those were his last words before he was executed by lethal injection. Now, how much more metal can you get than that?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty awesome.
The poem, right? I mean, you can't deny that. The poem, though, itself was first recorded by a journalist at a Grateful Dead concert, and this deadhead that they were interviewing, instead of, rock and roll me when I'm dead, they basically say, like, play the Grateful Dead. But all the rest of it is the same.
Nice.
Also, the cadence of this poem has ties to a Marine Corps poem, which states, "If I die, bury me deep," instead of "When I die, bury me deep." But yeah, basically, it's an amalgamation of these things.
It's not off of the "And if I die before I wake, pray the
I
Lord
mean,
my soul
that's
should take."
also another
It's kind of the cadence, right?
take. Yeah, there's like a lot just within those like few little passages.
It like sets the tone, and then
Yeah, big time.
yeah, it's like funny. Just opens up with him like you have hardcore lumberjacks flying back on a helicopter. That's a crazy ass job.
The song that plays over that whole credit sequence is a song called "Starless" by the prog rock band King Crimson. Back in the 70s, they were like doing some groundbreaking stuff and like psychedelic.
Right. I do know them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff there. Excellent choice of song.
But yeah, I mean the life is supposed to be. So yeah, she's like the pixie manic dream girl, or
Right.
like the hipster dream girl of like the chick from 500 Days of Summer. Just like
I do not put her with Zoe Deschanel at all.
no,
any day
but
of the
that's
week.
what I mean is like
Mandy would kick
But
Zoe
that's
Deschanel's
yeah, but
ass.
she's the like rocker indie boy dream girl. She just is like in the way that Zoe Deschanel is so hipster boy dream girl, and there's like the pixie manic dream girl. This girl is so on the nose rocker, indie guy dream girl or whatever the name is for that. But we don't have a name for that. But if there was like, she's
We
like,
do.
but yeah,
Mandy is the name
Mandy,
for that.
yeah, she's like the Zoe Deschanel. Like it's just so
Interesting.
much that it's almost painful. Like it can't be that much of that.
Well, the fantasy book that Mandy reads, Seeker of the Serpent's Eye, she reads like this whole passage from it, which is pretty badass about like the warlock grabbing the orb from the volcanic rock. It's written by Lenora Torr, but it's totally fictional. It was a prop book. Like that book doesn't exist. Neither
Really?
does Lenora Torr, but
That's
it
crazy.
is very similar to an author named Tanith Lee and their book, The Birthgrave, which I really want to go out and read now that I've made that connection.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all of the little details. I mean, they just paint the most peaceful. They're just so in love. I mean,
Totally.
he hits that, and then I do love their what's your favorite planet convo, and he says like he's like Jupiter because of the atmosphere, and they end up at Galactus, which is like a Marvel comic character.
Yeah, that was the villain in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I also got the vibe from this movie, and just yeah, not just that line, just in general. I think this director is not just a fan of comics, obviously, but I think he's in particularly a comic of Silver Surfer. He
Okay.
seems to be Nicolas Cage kind of becomes like this like Silver Surfer type of guy where he can like travel through worlds and is like bent on this like weird anger. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, right out of the gate, Mandy and Red live near a place called Crystal Lake. So right out, you got a Friday the 13th reference right
Well, I
there.
think that's again, he's supposed to be kind of a Silver Surfer,
Right.
Jason Voorhees, you know, when it's like what, you know, his own backstory of why he's out there for vengeance and can like pass through these worlds and stuff like that.
Well, for another black belt nerd moment that I couldn't help but ask myself is that Friday the 13th Part 3 was made in 1982, and Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, was made in 1984. So the events of Mandy are supposed to take place in 1983. So the events of this movie were right in between peak Jason Voorhees activity in Crystal Lake. So
Maybe
like,
this is
you
also.
know, everything's a
Well,
little bit close together.
here's where we got to get really crazy. So,
Let's go.
Jason Voorhees did the famous sleeping bag kill in the seventh one, I believe?
Right.
And was that before or after he perhaps watched this Mandy kill? Because then he's maybe taken that anger out with that sleeping bag kill, you know?
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
So while they're having dinner, Mandy and Red are watching a film called The Night Beast. Basically, it's about an alien that crash lands in a small town and starts killing people. Um, it was directed by a guy named Don Dohler. Very interesting. Other titles that he has under his belt is a film called Vampire Sisters, The Alien Factor, and my favorite, Galaxy Invader. Obviously, they never like burned the world down, but if you like campy B horror movie stuff, this is your guy.
I've seen Vampire Sisters.
Yeah, Dohler actually started a zine called Wild, which was riffing heavily on Mad magazine, and was eventually hired by Robert Crumb to help make a comic based on Wild's mascot, a character named Pro Junior. Dohler eventually started one of the first filmmaker magazines called Cinematic, and his life is documented in the biography Blood, Boobs, and Beasts. Truly a heavy metal icon in
Yeah,
his
it
own
sounds
way.
like a good,
Right? Like
good
that,
Wikipedia page for if you're gonna have one. That sounds like a good way to
yeah,
go.
those are some pretty good accolades. So somehow all of that's tied into Mandy now too.
Again, that's why I was saying the first 45 minutes is like my favorite because you see just how wonderful it is with the suspense building. And I actually think the creepiest part of the entire thing is when he is driving down the road and they make eye contact. I don't know why, but that shit like
Oh,
terrified me to my soul.
you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, even worse than that. But
The,
if you
the,
know, if fucking, but she was so goddamn naive. When she's working at the store, they go, "You must live by here."
I don't know why she told them where.
I mean, you're a hard rocker. You're reading all these freaky books and wearing, you know, hard rock things. Don't you know?
Are you suspicious of people or not? Come on, girl.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Yeah.
So the black Sabbath shirt that Mandy's wearing when she's walking down the road and the cult passes her is the cover art from Never Say Die, which is the last album that Ozzy sang with the band before Ronnie James Dio took over.
Yeah. It is weird how it's like 83 because it's so just obviously a reference to like basically the music. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
what was
not
popular
much.
at the
Yeah.
time.
But yeah, so after that, I mean, basically when they walk in, it's you just know it's coming. It's so obviously Charles Manson influenced, and yeah, with him just talking naked at her after I guess hits her with a tarantula wasp is
It's a wasp stinger, which I don't understand how that makes LSD better,
I
but
think it was just to put her in excruciating pain, and
right,
the
throw her
idea
off.
of what they gave her, the drug that you couldn't even tell she was in pain, I think is an idea to show how hard she's tripping.
So I was curious what real life cults were kind of notorious in this specific time period. So there was a few that popped up. The Rajneesh movement in Oregon, which was behind a poison attack on local restaurants in retaliation for the community butting heads with the cult.
Freaking Oregon.
I know.
This is
Other,
definitely in Oregon, right? The
yeah,
movie,
this
right?
definitely in the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. So, other notable cults active during this time were the Om Shinrikyo cult formed in Japan that eventually led a sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway in the 90s. And of
Ooh, I
course,
ever know that one. That one's a scary
that
ass
one's
story.
it's really
Yeah.
twisted. Then of course you've got Heaven's Gate led by Marshall Applewhite, who led his people into a mass suicide in relation to a comet passing over the earth, which was supposed to be sent by God and was going to pick them all up as they died, or whatever.
Apparently, that's the Frank Ocean song Nikes.
Ah,
A little
yeah,
bit about that.
there you go.
But yeah, if you're wearing Nikes and killing yourself over a guy named Applewhite, you're
Marshall Applewhite.
you're
His
not
whole thing
making.
was like,
Yeah.
everybody's my friend, which is like, no,
I
buddy.
remember that vividly. Haley's comment.
Yeah, that was the Kool Aid. They all drink. Well, they
That,
did that in Jonestown too. Jim
yeah,
Jones
the
made everybody.
Jonestown. That's you hear the audio on that one where
It's
he's just
brutal,
like literally just fucking ranting at everyone as everyone's
brutal.
marching their kids. Yeah.
Well, this cult and Mandy, the Children of the New Dawn, reminds me. Yeah, definitely got Manson tie-ins, but for some reason, I couldn't help but think of this group of fuck ups that called themselves the Children of Thunder, and it was like three people really. It wasn't really a cult. It was just these dipshits who followed one like washed out loser stockbroker guy who like basically he attacked some of his old clients, this old couple, to try to extort money from them. And him and his two whatever cult buddies, they like tortured these people, demanded they write them a check, and then he sent one of the members to the bank to try to draw out all this money. But this person, there's actually security camera footage of this person. He's like, okay, go, but like, don't stand out, play it low key. This idiot wears a bright green jumpsuit and a gold cowboy hat
Nice.
and comes in a wheelchair. And of course, the bank manager's like, this is
Who are
crazy. I'm
you?
not giving you $100,000 or whatever the fuck it was. So they turn around and leave. But then the bank employees realize that the way this person left and came in, there's just a staircase going out of the building. So
Like, wait a minute.
they're like,
we
hold
have-
on a second,
we
this
don't
this
have a
this shit.
handicap.
Anyways, that's what I had come to mind when I'm watching Jeremiah in this movie. Just be a total,
Yeah,
you know,
he
twat.
hits a lot of notes. I mean, the monologue goes long enough for you to have a lot of wandering thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're gonna think of literally that entire story. All
Yeah.
is this guy still fucking talking?
Yeah.
Also, my subtitles didn't work. At first, they were like a little behind, and I thought when they were doing the like, what planet would you like to be? They were like being cute and repeating it back to each other. It took a minute for me to be like, I think this is it. But yeah, let me tell you, without subtitles, I had to blast this fucking movie with that
it's a-
guy's monologue.
One theory I had was like the cult leader is all obsessed with himself, and he's got this album that he recorded, and it's like this sappy, folky,
Right.
hippie shit. I like to think that this movie's like pitting the hippie cult Jesus freaks against the heavy metal
Totally.
monster that Nick Cage becomes, which is what happens. But it's like the clashing of those genres of music, where you've got like in the '60s and '70s, you've got what Jeremiah Sands is all about, sort of
Which is-
dying and fading
But
away.
it's
and
also under the fake umbrella of peace and love.
Right.
And everyone understands the heavy metal is like violent people. They're just
outwardly
out there
violent, which
trying
is
to do that.
right, which like eventually that movement and that trend of music totally died out, and metal, of course, took over and has had a much longer history.
Yeah, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Well, I still listen to a good Peter, Paul, and Mary every now.
You do, huh?
I like If I Had a Hammer.
I don't know how much longer we can do this podcast.
But yeah,
this
it's
might
like,
be it, folks.
I like If I Had a Hammer. But no, it's like, it's so clearly that thing, and it's also like, I mean, it's just clearly, but that's the thing that the hippie movement did to itself. I mean, Charles Manson was a struggling musician and
Right.
just literally took it all out on other people and like used all of that lostness to violent advantage. And then of course there's people who know where to put their violence, which is good little rock out headbang session.
Well, I've got actually, I've been to a number of metal shows, and number one, nobody ever gets hurt.
Oh,
Number two,
yeah.
people are there to like have a great time and hope like making sure everybody else is having a good time.
It
Like
took a minute. I mean, the early '90s kids had to figure it out a
a
little bit.
little different,
But
maybe.
yeah, I remember
Well,
going to a Deftones and I fell on my back, and I swear to God, it was like a wave
probably
of
field
people
for your, yeah,
rose me up, like and it was like a wave just took me to safety.
very quickly. People will
Yeah,
take care of each other in a metal pit.
yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. Well, a little bit more on Charles Manson and his failure at music. He had a brush with stardom when he and Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys tried to work together. This fell apart when Manson pulled a knife on a sound engineer
Mm,
and then supposedly spent $100,000 of Wilson's money for food and medical supplies for his growing cult out in Spawn Ranch. Manson
oof.
was drawn to the Tate House because he thought Terry Melcher, a music producer who worked with Dennis Wilson, still lived there, when in fact Melcher had leased the home to Sharon Tate and was now living in Malibu at the time.
Mm.
So that's the
That's good
little
shit.
web of craziness of how, the
Damn.
Tate murders happened and Charles Manson and the
There's
Beach
so many
Boys.
movies we got. I mean, we're doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but there's a lot of really good. I mean, we'll go through like all the Manson ones, but this one's definitely the most successful. How depraved and awful and
Yeah.
senseless those murders were.
I wanted to touch base on the bikers that the cult hires. Like,
Mm,
what the fuck, man? Like, that was definitely our first obvious step
right.
into the dungeon of like we're going to
This is
Fantasy
surreal.
Town where
Yeah.
they have like the special horn where they call them up, which I've got notes on all of the fantasy objects that they use in the movie. But right quick, they call up these bikers whose names are Scratch, Spider, Fuck Pig, and Sis. You don't hear their names ever, but that was like in the script
It
what they were
reminds me of the
noted as.
bad guys from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Like Rocksteady and
Yeah.
Bebop. Yeah. So this is like if like this movie's the death of the hippie culture being swallowed up whole by the heavy metal culture. This is the extreme darkness of it, where like these guys represent the blackest of death metal. Like so, you've got
Right.
Dimmu Borgir, which is a Swedish death metal band. They and among countless other metal bands, they wore like a ton of spikes
Uh
on
huh.
their bodies during their shows. So you've got one of the bikers is also covered in spikes,
Hmm.
also a huge Hellraiser nod to Pinhead,
Right.
and all the Cenobites. If you really want to hear some delicious Swedish black metal, check out Dimmu Borgir, one of my favorites. One of the bikers wears the Vigil of Lucifer, and it's reported that like they are like the most extreme Satanists that
Yeah.
whatever. So in the script as well, there's a little note that the bikers are supposed to be think like Harkonnen marauders, like the Harkonnens in Dune.
Hmm.
So like the most hardcore brutal villains you can imagine. That's what they're
Hmm.
trying to pass over with these bikers.
Yeah. I guess their like deal is they have to sacrifice the curly-haired
They have to
boy.
give a blood sacrifice, which is part of the.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into the D&D references, but that's one of the big ones.
Mm.
Right quick, you mentioned the blade. So there's some fantasy objects used in this movie. The Horn of Abraxas is what the cult uses to call up the demons, the bikers.
Hmm.
Um, the horn is actually an object in D&D campaigns, and in the game, it summons up demons that require a blood sacrifice before doing any dirty work of the person that summons them.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, right? The tainted blade of the Pale Knight, which Jeremiah uses to stab Nick Cage before they burn Mary,
Right.
also a D&D weapon. And in the game, it's forged in the depths of Styx, the river Styx, in the fifth circle of Infernus. This is all a mashup of Greek mythology, as the river Styx is the passage to the underworld, and the fifth circle of Infernus being the fifth circle of hell in Dante's Inferno, where, and I quote, where the wrathful endlessly fight one another and the sullen are submerged, their gurgling a constant suffocating sound.
Mm. I
Anyways,
like
so
that.
that's where some of the imagery and the props and weapons that they use in this movie is. That's it's all
That's the badass. I
echoing
mean,
back.
like I was saying, like there's either like the beginning you like in the end for people who are sold on it, and I
Right.
can understand why. Like, I get both ends, but yeah,
Totally.
I just happen to be into the suspense part. But I can
Yeah.
also like dig if you like that thing how well they do this. You know,
Right. I mean,
they
they're not
really do
throwing
it.
stuff in here willy nilly. The other,
Did you ever see Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe?
no. What's
Well, I
that?
think you might like it. It's like an old, weird Swedish or something movie. You might. It seems to be right up your
That
alley.
name is pretty cool, Abraxas. That's got
Yeah,
a.
I feel like it's also in something else, but we'll never figure that out.
I also picked up on a little like biblical imagery that kind of thrown at us. Like you've got Nick Cage tied up, and he gets a dagger stabbed into his side, similar to Jesus on the cross. He gets stabbed in the side with a spear.
Yeah, and the bad guy's robe during his before his naked monologue.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, you've also got Nick Cage, although he's got like instead of a crown of thorns around his head, he's got like a crown like barbed wire wrenched in his mouth and on his
Yeah, but it
face.
like looks like the thorny crown.
Well, then later on, you've got him when the bikers kidnap him. You've got wounds
Oh
on his
yeah.
wrists, and they stab him in the hand with a nail. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that was just on accident. I think they're really leaning into this like hippie culture, heavy metal culture, like you know.
Yeah, and just like what the actual like figure you would worship might look like in that
And
world.
then you've got Mandy finding the dead deer in the woods, which is like a sacrificial lamb,
Yeah, that reminded
right?
me. You ever see the movie Antichrist?
Oh yeah,
That's always like it was like a sign of like, there's like an entrance to hell or like a rupture is
right.
nearby when that type of thing. But I
Oh,
think it was
interesting.
just. But see, here's a funny moment. Before I realized the subtitles were off, the next scene is her laying in his arms, and she goes like, "What were you dreaming?" And then he goes, "I can't remember." But the subtitles were playing during that scene, and so I thought she was having like a inner monologue with the dead deer. And she was like, "What were you dreaming about before you died?" And then it cut to her, and she's like, "I can't." The dead deer, and it's like, "I can't remember." I was like, "Damn, this is fucked."
That's a whole different movie,
I
man.
know. I was like,
Jesus.
"Oh my god!" And like, I had that for a minute, and I do wish that actually happened. But yeah, it took me a minute to piece that together. But how about that? That's a powerful scene.
That's just a whole story in itself, right there,
I
man.
was
Like
like,
you
"Oh
could
my
write
god!"
that
She
movie.
like speaks to the thing, and it like cut to the baby deer's face right as it said, "I couldn't remember." I was like, "This is pure poetry."
This is amazing. My God, man.
Yeah, right. But then,
Uh,
yeah, the baby bird's beating is so obviously a little nod to what's
and
headed
then
her
she
way.
shows up in a bag and gets killed in the back.
Oh,
Yeah, all of it.
God. Yeah.
Well, after they kill Mandy, Nick Cage goes into the house and he sees this commercial, the stylized commercial that they made just for the film about a macaroni and cheese brand called Cheddar Goblin.
That was like the second most haunting part next to them
Dude,
seeing each other on the street.
it it got me. It creeped me out, made me laugh, made me so interested in the rest of this movie. What was going to happen after this? Because I was like, these motherfuckers made this.
It disturbed me like
Yeah,
thoroughly from the bottom of my belly button
you've
through my
got the goblin
stomach.
like puking mac and cheese on the kids, and they're like, yeah, and like then it like there's this whole slow mo moment where it rises up out of the
Well, it
deep, and
takes the
it's
like very surreal shit of like it's obviously this memory, but have you ever had like a traumatic moment and there's just something so what
right.
seems to be typical like a commercial, but it's the most
It's got
haunting,
so
corrupt,
much weight.
evil thing and
Yep.
has all this weight. And yeah, that's obviously him entering this very surreal world and already beginning to lose his mind. But holy mother of God.
That's something to see after trauma. I actually makes me think of like this car accident that I was in when I was like 17. I was in a really, really big accident with some friends, and the car flipped over the whole 9 yards. Luckily, nobody was hurt.
The car flipped a whole 9 yards.
Well,
No, I'm just
you,
making
you,
light of your terrible situation.
I think we probably went like 50 or 60
Ah,
yards,
yes, yes, no.
but
Yes.
you name it, it happened in that car wreck.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? I don't even know if I got any sleep that night, but
Yeah.
I woke up and the television was on, and a System of a Down music video was playing, and it's the one where they're like on stage and their faces keep morphing and twisting
Oh,
into each
nice.
band member's
Yeah.
face. It's
And yeah, exactly. It's that haunting.
yeah, that's with me for the rest of
You
my
can tell the
life.
director has those. Like, yeah, there's something about, yeah, just that, and it sticks with you, and it becomes twisted. And I love how much
Yeah.
he was just like, well, let's actually just like make sure everybody feels that. Where he just walks in like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is life? You know, and it's,
Totally, yeah, and they do it with this ridiculous commercial.
then
Like,
he passes out, which makes sense. Then he goes into his orange room and gets the,
I wanted
which
to actually.
briefly gets the bro catnip. Like this scene is where it's too good, but it's so there's so much happening that's good, and it's almost getting troped on. But we'll see. We'll see. What do you got to say?
Oh, just back to the commercial real quick.
Yeah.
It was definitely a nod to a movie called Ghoulies, which had a
Mm.
similar little, critter puking on
Oh
people,
my god, I hate that.
which was basically a B movie knockoff of Gremlins.
Ugh,
So you've got a
all
little
of that
like horror
terrifies me.
movie lineage there. Like every little thing that I want to pick out and talk about has got three or four other things,
That's why I
and
was
like
like, you
movie
better.
history or like
Yeah.
music history or whatever.
Well, that's why I needed you to like
Yeah,
win me over on this because I could tell it was there, but it was just like because of all that, I
totally.
was having a hard time getting to it. Yeah.
So again, another throwback to 80s horror classics. After Red sort of loses his shit in the bathroom and comes to term with what's going on, he goes to see his friend Carruthers, played by Bill Duke,
I
who's
know
in
that
the OG Predator.
my favorite guy from Predator.
Yeah,
I'm
he's the
about to
guy.
get you some shit. I'm about to have me some fun. He's
He's
that
isn't
guy.
he? He's like also like dry shaving his face with
He's
a
my
razor.
favorite character in that movie. I just watched it with my dad. I was like, I love this guy so fucking much.
I love that whole moment in the trailer because he doesn't really explain what's going on. He's just like freaking out, and his friend's watching him, and he's like, "I need my crossbow," and he's like, "There's some other shit you want too." Like he doesn't even know what's going on, but he knows his friend something happened. He needs help, but
Right.
he's down to ride. He's like, "Fuck yeah, take
I
this."
like that he's yeah. That's the guy. I mean, that's the guy. If I could have anyone,
Right.
go to the guy from Predator, like
That's the dude. Yeah.
shit. Then he goes in and makes his badass battle axe.
So, the battle axe, the other magical item, along with the horn of Abraxas and the tainted blade, on set they nicknamed Nick Cage's axe the Beast, and it's very similar to the F in the band Celtic Frost's logo. If you look
Mm-hmm.
up their album art or whatever and look at the F in Celtic Frost, it is that axe exactly. Some song titles from Celtic Frost's first album, which was released around the time that Mandy is meant to take place, are Dethroned Emperor, Procreation of the Wicked, and Nocturnal Fear.
I like it.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you could tell. I mean, then it like cuts to the like Mandy thing, and it's like, I mean, it's like that's the typography from Slayer sweatshirts and stuff like that.
So
But
many
like,
bands. Yeah,
yeah, but it
that
gets to it. But you're like, all right, if you didn't get it by now, you
this is a
better
metal.
get
Yeah,
what we're doing.
we're
Yeah.
taking you into a metal.
Right. All right, I get it.
Right, they're just like it's like you're strapped in the seat and they're like slapping you around. Like, did you get it? You
Yeah,
in and
like, all
out?
right, I'm in a heavy metal movie. And then, yeah, he goes into the fucking blade dick guy. And
Oh, that's from Seven. That's a
I
huge.
know it's from Seven,
Yeah.
and that makes me. I just was talking to my friend about the Toy Box Killer, which is where Seven got it from, which,
Uh,
kind of full circle. He wasn't full cult, but he was with his wife and his daughter doing that shit.
yep.
But yeah, the Blade Dick guy, and also the other guy right after that's very Mad Max with the burning car.
Right, who rips the arrow out of his throat?
Yeah, I like
Also
how
metal as fuck.
everything's metal and it's all like penetration and shit, but we can get in that. But I like how at the end of each one, he like the first one he does a big thing of coke, and then the other one he like has a cigarette and lights it off of his
Off the skull. That shit was metal.
Yeah, and cool transition to him then in the field cruising on to like I guess then he goes into the fucking what's his name, the dude from
He goes
Peaky
into
Blinders in every movie. Yeah.
he goes into the chemist's workshop. Like we said earlier, that's Richard Brake, who is in Batman Begins. He also stars as the psycho kidnapper in the movie Barbarian. Like that dude's just got a knack for like
Well, his face is ridiculous.
it's so
He just
unique.
reeks of shady British guy in the 1918. Fucking don't know.
Or 1983.
Yeah, just he's shady British guy. But yeah,
From like
then-
Gotham City to gangster London to
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest, like
I
he's
bet
he's
he's
the
in.
guy.
I'm just gonna take. Just we can look it up later. I bet he's in. Well, now I've completely forgot what it's called.
Did you catch that when Nick Cage walks into the chemist's workshop, he turns to Nick Cage and says, "The Jovan warrior sent from the eye of the storm," which is a callback to Mandy telling Red that her favorite planet was Jupiter because of the thousand-year storm happening on its atmosphere. Jovan is I think it's Roman or Greek, but it is associated with Jupiter.
I like that.
Yep.
Was that before or after the lady was talking about how what's Jeremiah told her she was the best lover? No, that was right before he goes in
That's
there.
right before he cuts her head off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, also yeah, then he has the chainsaw off, and like that. This
we
movie
we
is
need
full of like so much like, but every movie has
we
this
need more
like.
chainsaw fights.
But it
Come
was
on.
just like it was. This movie has a lot
You're
of
not
like.
gonna take a point away from the chainsaw fight, are you?
No, no. Well, what I'm gonna say is like this. What I'm no. This is actually like a good thing for this. Like it has a lot of like big dick off, but it like kind of like calls it out because like it's
Totally.
like Cage is like the like what like a true like battle lord would look like. He's not like just like your typical like badass guy who's just gonna like chop through people. Like throughout the entire movie, he's crying. He's basically like orgasming after fights and stuff like that. But
Well,
he's like kicking ass the whole
after he
time.
takes acid, he takes that tainted batch of acid that the bikers are taking, and it totally.
Yeah, but either way, the point is like he's just doing man shit in like the way that like it actually should be. He's not like it just shows like, yeah, you can have your big ass thing, but he's just like, yeah, fucking fuck you, and I'll
He's
stab
doing.
this in your throat, and then I'll make you like, the guy's like, I'll suck your dick. It's just like
You're
so
right.
obviously he's like
He's the
just big dicking everybody, but in his own
totally.
way, and then it's like crazy just that he's like crying and orgasming throughout the whole thing.
The chainsaw fight reminded me of Dennis Hopper in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. He
Right.
plays a detective who's like hunting the chainsaw family. He's got the same exact like long, log cutter
Right.
chainsaw.
I
Like
remember
he's
that.
got the same exact one, and it like at one point in the movie he's carrying a chainsaw, and then on his each shoulder he's got two other chainsaws strapped
Right.
to him,
They
which
thought
is
that was gonna like they thought that would compete with
something.
like Evil Dead like chainsaw
A
stuff.
hundred
Yeah.
percent, yeah. Which
A fun fact though that I have for you, kind of that you just pulled in. That scene reminds me of the Northman ending scene where they're fighting on the volcano,
definitely.
and the
Oh
old
my god,
lady, like the old lady assistant that he has no respect for, Jeremiah.
yeah.
She's in the Northman, and she's
Ah,
also in the trash Netflix Chainsaw Massacre
hell
remake.
yeah.
So all connected in our fun way.
So after Red kills Jeremiah in again the most metal way, he crushes his skull with his hands and like gouges out his eyes.
Hmm.
We've got Red walking out, and the church is on fire, which is an iconic image, definitely associated with the Norwegian church burnings in the 80s at the hands of different black metal musicians and people in that culture. The black metal scene in Norway was extremely anti Christian and sought to rid the country of all of it in favor of old Nordic gods and various forms of paganism and Satanism. So, little cherry on top with the church on fire as Red walks away, and that's definitely it.
I thought of Midsommar.
That's it. That's it.
Well, doesn't it look like it? It's got the little triangle
The whole
thing.
country was terrorized in the 80s because of church burnings.
Yeah, it's like,
Wait
I
a
think
minute. I'm talking about the movie with the girl with flowers on her hair.
yeah, which I was like, yeah, that movie's that age, yeah, but it's fun too. We'll get there. But yeah, that's was like it's good. But yeah, like again, that's the problem with this movie for me, because the last half wasn't my cup of tea or wasn't like
Interesting.
directly.
Yeah.
By that time, I was just like, yeah,
What are we doing here?
like what's the bigger like what big sword is the next guy gonna have?
Right.
What like 15-minute sequence will we have here? And then and again, you've done a good job of convincing me. I will say I really enjoyed this thoroughly because I would have literally just written off as film bro catnip. So I'm really glad you deviated that because this one I can tell doesn't deserve to totally be in that category.
Not at all. Right quick, before we jump ahead, there's a Dungeons and Dragons theory of the film. Like
Hmm.
we've got the connections of like the magical objects or whatever they use that are like definitely from the game, but somebody did like a broad summary of the film in D&D terms. Red is this archetype in the game of a retired warrior living in seclusion with his wife, who is a druid who creates art and smokes from her pipe and is all magical. Jeremiah, the cult leader, is a bard who seeks to charm Mandy with songs and stories.
What's a bard?
That in the D&D game,
Oh, in
it's
the
like a
D&D
guy
game.
who has a little guitar and does like
Cool.
tricks and casts magical spells
Gotcha,
with his
gotcha.
music. And obviously then you got the magical items and the demons that are all catalysts to these characters colliding in the story.
Sweet.
So
That's
it's
cool. I
yeah,
like
man.
that.
Yeah,
See, yeah, you know exactly what to tell me. You're like, well, don't you worry. How about this? I was like, see, all right, you're getting me to come
just to
around
hold your
here.
horses a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I was like, that is badass. Okay, I like this movie all of a sudden. But yeah,
Well,
no, it's good stuff for sure.
yeah, right. I mean, it's like I said, like this movie's just layered with interesting shit.
No, and I
Like that.
can't deny it. And I really know it's like, it doesn't deserve to be called film bro catnip because it's like I can tell that it's deserved literally from chatting with
It
you and
earned it.
stuff. It earned it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, moral of the story: LSD is pretty rad. So is heavy metal, and so is fantasy art.
Well, isn't LSD bad in this movie? Drugs are bad in this
Hey,
movie.
man, LSD is pretty.
The
Cool.
opening scene, Nicolas Cage turns down beer. You know, I mean,
Well, that's also when Mandy dies, he chugs a bottle of vodka, and that gets him going into his insanity.
basically the only drugs that are cool are weed because that's what Mandy smokes.
I'm
and
standing
that's
by
no
it.
problem.
LSD's pretty rad.
All right, I'll be fine with that moral. But my moral would be, yeah, just just don't
Yeah.
don't just
Yeah,
be careful.
yeah.
Don't tell anybody where you're camping.
Oh yeah,
you
don't
know,
tell
stuff
anybody
like
where
that,
you're at ever
you
at
know.
night. Don't let
Whenever I
anybody
don't know
where
a
to find you
moral
at
and
night.
it's a horror movie, I can always go there.
Start-
Stop
start-
talking to people.
What are you doing? All right, so that about does it for the dungeon. What do you say we get into some grave matters?
I'm ready.
All
Do
right.
it.
So, right up top in Grave Matters, we like to play a twist on the game Fuck, Marry, Kill with fight, friend, or spare. I would fight the biker game, but in like a video game level, right?
I like that.
Like the level starts where you're like, you take one of them out on the road and you're in a chase moment in the game, and then you get captured and you have to escape their lair and take each one of the remaining, bikers out one by one. Could
Yeah.
you do that in 3 lives in the video game?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I could too.
I'm exceptionally good at video games.
That's fair. But think like, I don't know, it's got to be difficult. Like think, like Doom, the game Doom, but like
totally.
on ultra violent level.
Yeah.
That's a little bit tricky.
Well, if I had the rage of
right,
what he had in the agony, then I could.
and a bottle of vodka in your
Yeah,
blood,
and just
That'll do
exactly.
it.
Full of hard drugs. Yeah.
I would probably friend the chemist and his tiger. Like that just seems super chill. Like he lets the
He did
tiger
give
go,
up.
and like the tiger
Yeah.
just wanders off. And like when Nick Cage wanders in, the chemist turns and he's like, "I know it's good when the tiger's chill." Like he
Right.
knew based on the tiger not freaking out that like Nick Cage was all right.
And he gives up immediately and
Yeah.
gives up his friends.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
he's like, why do they got to do that, man? What's up
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah, but he has a little bit of like Nazi experiment scientist going on. But maybe you could take that down a notch for him.
Interesting. I'm not picking up on that at all.
Well, it's the way he looks. It's his leather gloves. And I think he's like testing the drugs on the tiger is the deal.
Oh, really?
And I think Nick Cage releases him because he's testing the drugs on the tiger, and I think that's why the tiger ignores Nick Cage and then roars gloriously in front of the sunset.
What about a sequel where Nick Cage is like in this fantasy world with the tiger as a sidekick, helping like
Well, I mean,
rid demons?
honestly, now that I think about it, in the orange scene, his T-shirt's got a tiger. So
There you go.
There you go.
So I would spare Red and Mandy's life together. Obviously, spare Mandy, but especially like
Their love.
their little world together. I was like,
Perfect.
Man, that's fucking great. Hated to see it get disrupted, but that's
Yeah.
what makes a good story. Like you got to fuck with it.
Yeah, God, it was perfect.
Yeah, it
What a
really was
perfect
nice.
little world they had.
All right.
I would befriend Cage because we'd just be partying. But actually, no, I take that back. I would be,
Metal axes, chainsaws, and all.
yeah, I would befriend actually the dude from Predator 2, obviously,
Bill Duke.
because
Yeah.
I need a dude to be like, ah, and he's
Yeah.
like, here's your axe,
Right. You just need in those moments. You need somebody who's like, "Yep, it's cool,
fucking
man.
A,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah."
yeah, that guy. And then I would fight. I was thinking like the same thing, but I was picking which guy I wanted to fight. And I think I have to fight the fucking Dick Blade guy. He's like the evil one, you know. He's like the one.
Oh yeah, he's the most
He's out of
twisted.
control. So,
That's wild
and I
shit.
think because he kind of feels like a Silent Hill bad guy, I can figure out just like Cage did. Oh, if I make him fall and put his knife dick in the floor, I can take him out. You know,
That's
that type
also
of
some
thing.
video game level shit right there too.
Yeah.
You're like, how do I get past this bad guy? Ah, all right.
The old dick in the floor trick.
It works every time.
But yeah, obviously I would spare sweet Mandy. You
Yeah.
know, there's no one else who really deserves being spared in this movie.
My favorite moment has got to be Cheddar Goblin. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
literally the transition from this peaceful world that they've been in, and then we see it get ruptured, and then Cheddar Goblin happens, and then from then on out, it's just mayhem and
Totally.
ultra violence, and
Very
it's
surreal.
definitely the marker where you see this like literal goblin like rise up
Ugh,
out of the
makes me
ground,
sick,
like
yeah.
like Red's
Ugh, makes
demons
me
are coming
sick.
out, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's such a cool way to define that moment. In
It's
the movie.
really unique.
Yeah.
It's very unique. That's why it like really rose to the top.
Yeah.
I think mine, which I like kind of have a hard time saying, but it's like, oddly my favorite moment because like if I were to like list like a top 50 moments that keep with me and scare me to this day, it's when he sees her walking down the road and it's in red
Mm-hmm.
and it's slow. Like the dread and terror
Yeah.
is like so powerful in
It's some
that scene.
Clockwork Orange shit.
Oh, it makes me
Yeah.
like my heart increase even right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, that I got to give that one just what it deserves because like I'll list that forever as the scariest like 30 seconds in films for sure.
So
Do you have a special question?
I do. My question of the day was, if you had to choose, and you could be either a member of the biker gang or of Children of the New Dawn, which would you choose? Like had to. You're put up a gun to your head. Like you either got to do this or do this,
Oh, biker gang, obviously.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it seems
yeah,
like you get to pick your own kind of niche as the biker game.
right.
I would like, yeah, just be like, I'm about, my burning car and standing like this. Other than that, that's all I'm about.
Or I'm into the tainted LSD and this
Yeah,
pile of cocaine.
you don't have to be like I'm about blade dicks and killing old people with them.
Right.
Yeah, that's like
Right.
his choice.
That's his choice. The
Yeah.
rest of the group, like the rest of the bikers, they kind of don't know what to do with him. They're just kind of like,
Yeah,
whatever.
put him first in line.
Yeah, let's just
Yeah, and then like if you're in the cult, you're just like subjected to whatever the
You got to
fucking
listen to that
psycho
fucking
does.
guy's album every day.
Oh my god.
You know he makes them listen to his record every day in the
Imagine
car.
doing acid with that guy and he starts monologuing and you're not allowed to fucking leave the room. I would have a panic attack and die, even
Yeah.
if you thought I was his best friend.
You would want him to burn you alive.
I would just die. It would
Yeah.
be no problem. But yeah. My special question is what's your favorite planet?
I would go with Jupiter too.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
badass.
that the fact that there is a storm that's been on its surface for like 1,000
the
years,
big
that's
one.
crazy badass to me.
I like what she said too about Saturn.
Yeah,
But
that's the first one that humans like was able to
discovered-
document and
yeah, I didn't even pay attention.
observed. Yeah,
Yeah. But like really, really just like channeling my like childhood. I don't know. There was something about Neptune that always applied to me. It was always like kind of looked like a marble
because
it's always
it's also out there too.
it's out there.
Pluto
it's
was
not
always
quite,
like-
but it's not quite Pluto because Pluto's the like. Do we even count this as an American? That type of thing. But, yes.
We see your papers.
Yeah, yeah.
Pluto.
Hey, look at you too. But yeah, Neptune it just had that weird, and you just don't. No one talks about it.
I
it's
just
got some-
remember like an early Superman comic cartoon where the Plutonians invade Earth and they're like ice people, and they
Totally,
and
totally.
he's got to fight the ice
Yeah,
people
see,
from
that's
Pluto.
badass stuff.
Yeah.
I like what's going out on the edge of the universe.
Yeah, we don't know,
we
man.
don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. Good questions to me, Pat. I'm back, and definitely to you for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, that about does it for me. For Mandy, how you feeling?
I feel like you converted me, John.
Yeah, it's a goddamn classic, man. Really.
I've been waiting to put my letterbox up until we had this conversation.
Hell yeah. Well, so glad that you joined us, folks. Please come back next week. And as always, to be continued.
And keep your eyes on the skis.